right? Is the fact that he, he wins through wit as often as brute strength. You never really see Gandalf do anything brute strength, but Dresden, and when Gandalf's being clever, you see the witticisms come through and everything. And I know we're recording. It was a great segue. I wish you had recorded like a minute earlier because
I tried.
I know. Welcome to the Dresden Files podcast. I'm your host, Ben, plugging the Dresden Files, a Broken Jars podcast thing majigger. Go check out our affiliate, Drive Through RPG. We're going to swear and spoil stuff, so it's probably not kid-friendly because the Dresden Files aren't especially kid-friendly. We're on part 87 of Skin Game.
And I'm not sure what episode number it is anymore.
This will be the final part.
Chapter 3.4. Yeah, like we're not even like 2/3 through the book, right? Like,
we're roughly at halfway.
If we believe we are.
We're at halfway through this book right now.
We only have to stall 4 more months, 4.5.
I believe
so.
In the ability.
So that's 9 episodes
to not go on tangents in this part. I believe in us.
We started out talking about Lord of the Rings and the Dresden Files.
We weren't recording. That
out
doesn't
in
count.
The tangent.
Doesn't count.
You can think that our pre-show warm-up thing is to get tangents out of our system. It doesn't work.
Not always.
It's just it gets us warmed up for more tangents.
All right. So do the news. Oh wait, that's my job.
Yeah.
What was the thing? They're doing the read along. They're on full moon now.
Read along plus they're doing artist focuses.
Yeah, they did fan art stuff this past week.
Well, it's not even just fan art, right? They've had like the comic book artists involved and stuff like that. So they're doing artist. I think they called it artist focus or whatever. Jim-butcher.com, right? So go check out the website every Tuesday. There's a new Dresden drop, as they're calling it. For those of you audio only, I did the air quotes for your benefit. But
I'm sure
that's where we get like a little snippet of of peace talks, and then they're doing the art stuff, which is cool. But I mean, talk about people not being able to get into Lord of the Rings because it's boring. Like I like looking at the art. I don't necessarily need to know the process, So anyway, go look at artists. They're awesome.
Hey.
Okay. We're trying to get into the content of this. We're starting at episode 30. And
Chapter
Karen,
30.
Thank you.
It's been 30 episodes of us talking about the book, but it's chapter 30.
It's chapter 30, part 5 of Skin Game. I'm not sure what episode number we're on, but whatever. Karen is getting her ass kicked by Nicodemus.
Yeah.
Yay.
She got butt kicked. She got broken.
Including with a lecture of you shouldn't be judgy because you are not that person. You don't get
let me tell
judgy.
you about judging people. Yeah.
Huh?
And he's
she should have asked to see his manager. That's where she went wrong. So
she really is that person though.
Yeah. So Nicodemus, of course, being holier than thou about how she shouldn't have judged him,
which is not wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
As evidenced by what happened.
He says things like, I was worried that you were going to keep the sword out of it for a time. And then basically she had gotten baited to bring it in and then destroyed it. And during an ambiguous situation instead of something as straightforward as Chichen Itza was.
Right. Right. Which, I mean, this is, granted the Denarians are in play, but they're not, at least as far as we know up to this point, they're not really doing Denarian-y things, Like we understand that the vault break is probably some bigger part of his machination and his world-ending plan, right? But we don't know that to this point in the book. And even still, taking a full spoiler, full picture view of it, we have no fucking idea what his play was other than to get a certain artifact. If at least one, for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to care about the other 4. Otherwise, either he didn't know they were all together or they're not important to his plan.
Well, he knew enough to know that the Grail and the knife would be there. I imagine he knew all 5 were there. I imagine he would have taken all 5 if he got there first. He just cares about the knife the most. The Grail is the red herring.
Say the knife? I mean,
he does later.
He does then because he knew Dresden had it.
Well, because he's still expecting treachery. So why show your whole hand?
Right.
Same way Dresden
He's
did.
still doing a Kansas City shuffle. He tells them that they're there for the Grail or whatever, and then really he wants the knife. So if they try to steal it from him, they're stealing the wrong artifact. If there is such a thing in this case, Oh, you fools, you picked the BFG instead of the thermonuclear weapon that I was really after. Whatever. It's at that power level, I mean, really, you need all five or should want all five one way or the other, So it's a little odd that he only ever deals with two, right? And that's why I'm like, there's never any indication until they get there that he's aware of the other three artifacts. I buy what you're saying, EG. It's just, he never brings it up in the books, right? He only focuses on those two. So anyway,
Michael opens the door and appears.
Right. He does the Yoda thing and he just walks out there on his cane and he says, "You kids, get off my lawn."
Yeah. You just let them go. And Harry and Karen are like, "No, you go away. You be safe. We'll die instead."
Right.
And they says, "No, he's going to let you go because he's going to walk out the gate."
Right.
And Nicodemus is wise enough to point out it has to be of his own free will, like without compulsion. This is his choice, freely made. And then the sleet stops falling.
Because Uriel shows up and says, "Yo, bro, this is crazy. Like, you've retired, you've got this kick-ass pension plan. Pretty much you just need to die of old age and like you're in, So like canonized as a saint practically, like you're in. But if you go out there, we can't protect you." And he says, "Yeah, cool. I'm going to go kick his ass anyway." I mean, wait, no, that's later, but still.
Yeah.
But it's Michael, right? He's got the bravado. He's fucking on a cane and he's just like, yeah, and so.
Uriel says, "If you do this, I can take no action to protect you. And this creature will be free to inflict upon you such pain as you cannot imagine." Michael smiles and says, "My friend." And Uriel is rocked back slightly as if the words had struck him with a physical force, because when Michael names you friend, for an angel, it does. And then he continues, "I am not the carpenter who set the standard." And Nicodemus then taps Uriel on the shoulder and says, "Excuse me, this is mortal dealings. Get out."
Right. That I think that's some of my favorite stuff, right? Like Nicodemus is on point for all of this stuff, but he's just got such a disregard for Uriel because he knows that Uriel is literally powerless here. Doesn't he? He even flicks him in the nose, doesn't he?
Yeah. So Uriel gets mad, and then it's like the lightning, thunder, and stuff. And he's like, "You're threatening me? Fine, you strike me down," and a whole bunch of righteousness, just like Karen did.
Right.
And then he just like, right on Nicodemus's nose. And I didn't describe that because we're an audio podcast, but fuck you.
Everybody gets it. Flicked on the nose. You've seen it. You've done it to dogs. You know the utter contempt that action brings. So, especially to somebody who can unmake galaxies, actually. So
yeah.
Well, since it basically summons his halo and fucking makes everyone shirk away from it.
Yeah, except Nicodemus. He's the only one
because he's seen one before. What does he care?
Yeah, right. He knows better.
Make threats or something like that.
Right.
When I was listening to this again, it makes me think that if we do live action anything on this show, Marsters should do Nicodemus. He can do that very well.
Right. I mean, that's the problem though. Marsters is all of the characters, right? Like I want to see him in drag as both Susan and Murphy. I want to see him in the suit as Marcone and Nicodemus. I want him to be, no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, like any of the dudes in a suit, like Marsters could pull that shit off.
Oh yeah.
So like I think he's even of a height with Marcone, right? Because Marcone's a little above, or he's a little below 6 feet, isn't he? So he's
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
He's probably.
He always struck me as like 5'11", where he's like tall enough, but he's shorter than Dresden, where like that should matter. But not everybody, but like Marsters couldn't pull off Rashid, for example, for a number of reasons. Height being the first thing that I thought, but obviously he's not Arabic or whatever.
You just paint him brown
at the time. So, that's just...
He's an actor. That won't let him stop.
No, we're only allowed to do blueface, okay? We're not allowed to do any combination of brown or darker. So, anyway, we're about to get in trouble. So let's...
Are we allowed to lighten people?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, White Girls was fine, right? But if we did it the other way, like Tropic Thunder was pushing it, right? But Yeah. Anyway. Okay, so he makes threats, and then Uriel's like, "Well, I can't do anything." But
and then he walks away, and Harry is mad. He's like, "Why aren't you doing something?" But Uriel goes over to talk to Butters, who is just waking up from being unconscious.
Oh
Right.
yeah, he's still alive.
Right.
Uriel's meddling again.
Do me a favor and go get the thing that you know exactly what I'm talking about and where it is. Righto, boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, go be useful for once.
He's a squire and he's about to get knighted. There you go.
Spoilers.
That's good.
I'm sorry, have you not read this yet?
Yeah, I was like, I did say it's spoilers, and I'm pretty sure 5 years is past the statute of limitations.
I used to just read them when they came out, but then it took so long, so I thought I would just like read a chapter a year.
Oh boy. So anyway, so Butters runs off, getting him out of the scene for Jacob's enjoyment.
Yeah, Nicodemus kind of is going along with the bargain. He lets go of Karen, and Janoska lets go of Dresden. Dresden takes Karen inside the yard, and then Uriel does a mental discussion to Harry and says, "I need time. I need a little bit of time." And so Harry starts up an argument with Nicodemus about going back on one's word and how they've just skated inside of all of their obligations. So no blood.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, Nicodemus calls him out as much as Harry calls out Nicodemus, right? Where it's like, you tell on me, I'm going to tell on you, and trust me, yours is going to be worse than mine. You know, like I'm the boss here and I'm my boss, whereas your ass is grass if Mab finds out, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, you're right. Let's go tell her. Let's see what happens. So.
Okay. And then Uriel comes back up to Michael, stands at his right hand, puts hand on Michael's shoulder and gently takes away his cane, saying to Nicodemus, he can't stop Michael from doing it because the bargain was freely made, but he can help him do so.
Right.
And then Butters comes out with Amarachius. And Michael kicks down his own gate.
Right. I mean, when you have an airliner, you can do such things. So
yeah.
Well, when you have working legs.
Also that. I'm sure either would suffice in this case. Yeah. Michael walks out and he says, I said I would come to you, Nicodemus, and I have come to you.
I have come to face you.
Right. He does. It's in nomine day here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he starts.
In nomine day, Nicodemus.
You killed my Shiro. Prepare to die.
Yep. It's just, honestly, this is one of the most epic scenes in the book for me. You know, it just like, he just walks out and you're still trying to catch up with what's going on the first time. And he kicks down the gate and you're like, what? And he's like, oh, I'm going to kick your ass. Like, I've been holding onto this grudge for a little while. And let's make sure this happens. So,
yeah. So Harry hopefully laughs like the bully on The Simpsons going, ha ha.
Right.
Because he's mature.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Very.
Harry Dresden, mature individual.
Just like we're a professional podcast. All right. And then Harry points out that it's basically an even match because there's two of them and two of the others. And how about they just go at it? And Nicodemus says no. And he expects Harry to be back at headquarters by 4 a.m. Harry pushes it, though, because he had it in the bargain that he gets to have someone watch his back. Nicodemus took Karen out of commission after he won the fight. So he's choosing a replacement, which is Michael. Right.
Which is great because Nicodemus basically, it's like, shit, I'm going to reference a Marvel movie you haven't seen, so never mind. But, you know, it's just such, right? Did you see Captain Marvel?
No.
You know? Okay, see, there you go. So the scene I'm thinking of is from the end where Jude Law's character like shows down with, you know, Captain Marvel in her full glory, and he's just kind of staring at her and he's like, I am just so proud of you, and he tries to defuse the fight and then just walk away. Like Nicodemus is kind of doing the same thing. It's like Nick knows if he keeps pushing this, his ass is grass. So he just pivots 180 degrees and says, meet me back at the warehouse, like he's in charge still, you know? And it's like, no, where's the ass kicking? Like Michael is here to like, he said he'd come out and well, let's play, you know, like you can't just take your ball and go home. And then he does, but then Dresden's like, no, you're not off the hook. I'm gonna bring my Knight of the Cross with me, you know, so.
Yeah. And if he doesn't allow it, Mab will consider it a release of obligation.
Right.
Haha. But then the ass kicking kind of sort of gets mentioned in just the fact that Michael mentions Charity is not going to be pleased.
Right.
Yeah, but when is she ever?
She's gotten a lot better. I'll give her that.
Yes, significantly.
Oh yeah.
She's still perpetually unpleased.
Yeah.
Until she gets paid later, and she's very happy.
Some people are just happy to be unhappy. But whatever. Okay. So Harry, being bright and smart, goes to Uriel, points at Karen, says, "Fix her," and Uriel cannot. I don't know why Harry even expected that to work.
Done even if he still was.
I know.
Right.
Like, I mean, I think he's stupid just for the sake of, being stupid sometimes.
He's a little stupid in this scene. He's also weirdly bitchy to Uriel, like Mean Girls 13-year-old girl level bitchy.
Well, yeah, this book is all about misplaced aggression and priorities of characters. You may have noticed.
It just stands out like a sore thumb a little bit. It's just going, "Oh, you're so useless." Why?
Meanwhile, this is the guy who's like, "Yeah, let's get into a 2-on-2 fight with the guy who was about to squish his head open," and he probably would have died right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's Dresden. He's got to push it anyway. Like, he mouths off to things that would destroy him all the time. This isn't new.
I mean, at least I can almost get the way he argues with Butters about taking Karen to the hospital or not, because he does have a fear of hospitals and being not in the Carpenter house. But he's just so petty bitchy to Uriel.
Right.
For no reason. And he should have understood that, like, even if Uriel hadn't just given away his grace, he could not help Karen right then. She made her choices. Of which Dresden was just thinking about, like, minutes before. Like, she made her choice. This is the thing. We're going to die to try to save Butters.
And not just that, but, like, Dresden fucking knows, because Uriel wouldn't heal him either because of the exact same reason. You made your choice to go in that window. I can't undo that for you.
Selective amnesia is the other theme of this book.
Yeah, fair.
Instances that happened moments before are immediately put to the side.
Right.
Okay, so they put Karen on the coat and then bitchily take her inside and put her on the couch where there's a fire because she's probably going into shock.
To be fair, Butters doesn't stop being a bitch either in this scene.
At least
After everything he just fucked up, and he's still being a bitch.
At least he's doing that in his professional category, role.
Irrelevant.
It's like,
have a little bit of humility considering what you just did.
Yeah, but he is the person in the right in this one.
Don't care.
Okay.
He was in the wrong the entire first half of the book. That doesn't change anything now.
In this moment, he is right, and it makes you mad.
Listen, he's right in a sense. He's not right in the sense that he should be like, and I'm going to call this, that, and the other thing, and we're going to see just how. And it's like, really? You're going to keep playing this card like you know some shit about shit? Like, there's no valid reason to be worried about taking her into the open away from angelic protection?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, because that's kind of the thing, right? The subtext is, if we take Karen to the hospital, at least if nothing else, the goons can get to her, which Dresden's only worried about the entire series, like always two things with him going to the hospital. One, he might short out a bunch of critical equipment. That's usually a bad thing. And two, the monsters or the bad guy or whoever this week could get to him, so yeah. I get it, but at the same time, like, this is one of those things that's like, look, unless the angel is healing her or a cleric shows up, like an actual D&D cleric, we're taking to the goddamn hospital because that's all we can do. So,
all right. Michael makes some comments to Harry about, you're not more angry that she's injured than if it had been anyone else, because everyone can see that they're in love and he should be angrier. And he is. He's just trying to deal with his emotions somehow.
And also, like, she's a big girl and made her own choices, right? So he's
which now he remembers.
Right, exactly. He's getting there. He's getting his head wrapped around the fact that, like, he brought her into the situation. She willingly accepted, and either of them could have been laid up like this, afterwards. It's just her this time. So,
so Butter says that he needs towels and blankets, and Uriel volunteers to go get them. And then he pauses and has to ask where they are. It's like, oh, you don't have your omniscience anymore. You can't just remember where they are.
Right.
All right. See, Michael and Karen are talking about the sword being broken and how she's so sorry and it's her fault, and Michael's being gentle and easy to her.
This sort of thing happens all the time. It's never happened before. What the fuck? So
it's really not your fault. It's totally your fucking fault.
Yeah.
But it's gonna work out anyway.
You know what the problem is because Harry initially chose her, and he fucked up around with a sword once before. So he's just choosing people that are going to fuck around with swords.
Well, I mean, he chose her for Chichen Itza, right? And he specifically told them only use it for this purpose. The problem is she became the sword bearers after he died because she took them.
Yeah.
Like there was no passing down. There's no way in any sense that she had the chain of custody to make that happen. But
of course she did. She's a cop and she can do what she wants.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, like you could squint and look sideways and make justifications, but there's no kind of
I'm not gonna do that.
No, I'm just saying one could, not you particularly, but
one.
But at the same time, there's no actual link bonding them beyond friendship, really. Like in no form of fantasy is there any kind of like, oh well, you know, we're totally like crushing on each other, so you're naturally where the swords would go next. Like they should have gone to Michael. They should have gone to his house, which is protected, which is where they eventually wound up mostly. Half.
Why shouldn't they have gone to Sonya?
That too.
I mean, Michael's out of the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Sonya should have taken him.
Fucking give him to Uriel. I mean, Sonya got his sword from the Archangel Michael. It's not like that's never happened either.
But the problem is it has to be a choice, right? So Uriel, I mean, if he took them, he's probably going to go throw it back in the lake because that's what he can do about it. You know, like sword
yes
bearers
and no.
have to
I mean,
make a
obviously,
choice.
if the other Archangel can hand Sonya a sword, then you just wait for the next person to come along.
To offer them the choice to take it up, but you can. An Archangel could definitely be their safekeeper.
Right, that's right, because Michael literally gave him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It didn't happen, so that's what we got.
And now here we are.
Yeah. Getting
Butters
blankets.
is checking Karen out. It's like, oh no, she's been shot like 5 times. It's like, oh, she's good. She was wearing a vest, and Karen breaks out of her stupor to say, "Of course, I was wearing a vest."
Right.
Yay.
Not some kind of comic villain. Oh wait.
Yeah.
No, she's a comic book protagonist. Okay. And Butters kind of lists off the things that are probably wrong with her, like she's going to keep swelling from all of the bullet impacts.
Also,
probably ACL. Yeah, her ACL is probably destroyed. Her shoulder is probably destroyed, and she's going to go into hypothermia if they don't get her to the hospital. And they throw down a little bit of, I'm taking care of her. No, I'm taking care of her.
Yeah.
Macho man.
Yeah. And then Harry's backing down a little bit, and he gets super dizzy. He falls over. Michael catches him, but his left wrist that is bandaged in metal smacks Uriel in the face.
And then he bleeds.
Yeah.
Bloody nose.
And is surprised that it hurts.
Right? And everyone's like, hold on. What the fuck?
Yeah. All of the worry just...
That is not supposed to happen.
Right?
WTF, Mike?
Michael...
What the fuck, Mike?
Michael's entire reaction is, what have you done?
Right. Take it back. I don't want it. Get it off of me.
Yeah, another overreaction.
I will, of course, do what you wish.
No. I don't think it's an overreaction at all. Like, I think I would absolutely react the same way. You'd be like, no. Because
I cannot be responsible for that much shit.
This is too much power. Also, you kind of have a job, don't you? Like, what's going on now? Like, what are you supposed to be doing? You know?
That's very, very
hanging
good
out
question.
at home cooking.
Right?
Pancakes.
Galaxies. So
Yeah.
That's fine.
Harry's like, isn't that kind of overkill? Like, Uriel, can't you unmake solar systems? No, galaxies.
right.
He had to do something, but Uriel's options were limited, so he gives him a jumbo jet for a reading light.
Right. I mean, really, it comes down to, like, they kind of explain it, right? He has an indivisible unit of power. He could not give him 0.01, graces. He had a grace to give him. So
it wasn't the unit of power, at least the way that Harry described it, is that Uriel couldn't do anything to Michael, but he could change himself. But the exchange of making Uriel mortal in Michael's place to put Michael in his place, that's a equal enough exchange to do temporarily. But they didn't describe it as the units of power not being right.
Well, what's funny about it, right, is like, so we know it's temporary in the sense that it can be undone, but it's not necessarily temporary in the sense that like it expires at noon tomorrow, right? Like it's, for all intents and purposes, if Michael ran off with the grace, there's now 2 Archangel Michaels, you know, like that's what's going on. Like, you know, he gives it back, but at the same time, like, you know, they've switched places. I like that description. So.
Yeah, that's how the protective detail is like Michael's no longer retired. So what's about the protection on his family? Uriel took his place.
Yeah, they're protecting the Archangel.
Mm-hmm.
The former.
Yeah.
Right.
So if
the Archangel,
Michael,
formerly known as Uriel.
if Michael misuses the grace, then Uriel would fall.
Hey.
Which would generally be a bad idea. So.
Well. It depends on how you view bad. I mean, if you're Nicodemus, it's a great thing.
Right.
It would be interesting to see what would happen, though.
Right.
Also,
well, it would have been interesting if Nicodemus knew what Michael was walking around with in the underworld, and he could have.
I mean, he should have been able to figure it out.
Right.
Like, something happened to make Michael whole, more than whole.
Yeah, but right. Nick is another one who's selectively dumb in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. Like, he never calls out that he knows. The assumption is there that he would have been able to figure it out, but at no point does he say, "You clever son of a bitch, you gave him your grace. How did you, whatever."
I mean, you would think it would be the kind of thing he would try and manipulate.
Did you just make a Rick and Morty reference in the Heist book?
No.
He did that last time.
In this case, I mean, just because the words "son of a bitch" were uttered,
I was going to say, "son of a bitch" has existed long before Rick and Morty was a thing. That's not something they came up with.
That's something he came up with.
No, it's really not.
Yeah. Anyway, we're going to get on a tangent if I keep going with my thought process. So next, what happened? Do we just skip to the?
Kindly asks Michael to not push any of the buttons or pull any of the levers in the giant jumbo jet.
There you go.
And then Michael is still unhappy. It's like, an archangel of the Lord is vulnerable and this is not okay. Take it back. And when they have the discussion that Uriel thinks this is really important and that's why he's risking practically everything for it. And all he describes to Michael is that it's for a soul.
But, fine.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
I don't know. Sometimes I think the balance, I mean, I kind of get Michael's value he puts on someone's soul.
No, it is completely ridiculous. There is not one soul.
The amount
unless that soul is literally the protagonist, there's no, because they're the chosen one, there's no soul worth an archangel falling. None.
Yeah, there's a lot of
potentiality, right? I mean, the whole point of Uriel, though, is like, probably in all of space and time, Michael is the one mortal he could trust with that kind of power. So It is a risk, but he knows, he literally knows in the moment that Michael will not willingly do anything to cause his grace to fall. So it's, yes, we went all in with $1 billion, but at the same time, he knows Michael has the cards to back it up.
I know you got the birds. You got aces. Let's go. Can still lose. But it's unlikely.
He's played way too much online poker. So anyway,
I don't think he's played any.
I have. Well, not like currently, but so you've got that. But then, I mean, that's kind of the whole play for the good guys, right? Your soul is eternal and indivisible. So, if your entire life you saved exactly one soul is worth it, because again, we got to talk about this from Michael's perspective in the sense that Michael is the paragon of Catholicism and stuff like that. How many times has Butcher tried to write him that way? It's come up in interviews. Fans have talked about it and everything. This is the whole game, to them. So it isn't from our perspective, but it is in the scheme of things. And when you take a step back and realize, okay, which soul is he talking about? It isn't like, oh, well, if I give you my grace, we're going to save Jenny down the street, which still would probably be worth it from the good guy's perspective, just to be clear. We're trying to save Nicodemus. or maybe in that moment we could also save what's her face. For whatever reason, her name is gone from my
Deirdre?
memory forever. Thank you. Because I couldn't remember it last episode either. So Deirdre,
Also
or
priorities.
And if you want to get really interesting, I'm not sure any of the metaphysics backs this up or anything, but maybe they're not even trying to save Nicodemus. Maybe they're trying to save Endura. How crazy would that be?
Really
Yeah,
stupid
so
priorities.
The metaphysics would be really weird.
Because they've already fallen. I don't think there's a way back. But in any case, they are trying to save the Denarians. That's the whole point of the Knights of the Cross, right? It's not just to counter them; it's to save them. So yeah, that's the whole ball game. That's it. So
yeah, and then there was all the squires and whatnot.
Yeah, you mean the only people that actually sort of kind of got redeemed?
Well, the people who were actually choosing or having the ability to make a choice, as Nicodemus points out, he can't remember not doing any of the shit that he's been doing. The idea of veering away from that doesn't make sense.
And
been in the
people keep
revenge
trying to
business so
save
long.
him.
Yep.
So,
because that's
what the
point.
fuck is Heaven doing? Stupid shit.
So
And we move on to family reunions.
yeah, pretty much. Everyone is given a duty to go do. Butters is taking Karen to the hospital. Harry's going to go clean up the yard and all that crap. And then Uriel is going to sit down and not do anything stupid like running around with scissors or sticking forks in light sockets.
Right. Forks and light sockets. In fact, don't touch any metal just in case. So
Yeah. Being still and safe is helpful, but try telling a 2-year-old that.
right.
All right. And Michael is left alone to go talk to Charity. Funny how that worked out.
Darn the luck.
Well, I'm sure it would not have gone over well if Dresden's like, hi, I'm here too.
Nah, it's okay. They had their whole family stays moment, so she'd be like,
Yeah, but that was just the
"Dude,
two of them.
seriously,
That was the two of them after she'd had time to digest, and Michael put some Archangel
She
whammy
has
on
more
her.
reason now to be mad at him than she did then.
Why? Because her husband's out of it, and now all of a sudden he can walk again.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but
It's-
the fact that Harry basically fucked over Molly, using Molly to kill himself for years, and she's still recovering from it. And it led to her
But they don't
being a
know
Winter
all
Lady.
that.
Granted, she doesn't know that, but she does know that Molly was running around being the rag lady and in a terrible
Does she?
position.
She knew she was the rag lady.
I think so. I think that's implied in Ghost Story with Murphy wanted to tell Charity and Michael something good about what's happening to Molly. They wanted her to come back home. And Daniel knew everything. I'm sure he would have told
That's
them.
fair. Yeah.
Daniel is many things, but I don't think he's an arc.
Well, that would also kind of include him telling on himself. So,
But that he was helping good people try to protect other people. I don't know. I think
No, she knows.
But it's the kind of hypocrisy you get from those kinds of families, though, right? Like
Charity does know that Molly helped him suicide.
Mhm.
Does know that much.
And the downward
she says
spiral it took Molly onto.
Yeah. She just doesn't know what then became of her as far as her new job goes.
Yeah.
Right. Okie dokie.
All right. So kind of small touching moment with Harry and Karen as she's going away and she says, make the sucker punch count. And he cleans up shell casings and whatnot and hates himself for a few minutes and then decides to get over it. And there's a little girl standing at the top of the stairs.
Ah, shit. Can we just pretend this doesn't happen? I'm not mentally prepared for this today, so.
I can handle it.
Okay.
Heartwarming things don't affect me.
Right, yeah. It explains a lot about your whole dark side demeanor, right? Only the negative feeds your soul, but you're immune to all the good stuff, so.
Yeah, well.
I mean, this is right up there with the famous words from Changes as far as gut punches. So,
Which ones?
You know damn well which ones I'm talking about.
You mean the positive ones where we get that stupid character out of here?
Yeah, the only thing that brings warmth to your soul, apparently.
Oh my god, I can't wait for those words when it comes to Murphy and Butters.
Oh, jeez.
That's the only reason I keep reading.
So, anyway,
Spite.
Yes. Hatred and spite.
Okay. Maggie is standing at the top of the stairs with Mouse, and she's desperately trying to hold on to him, even though he's way too big. And he's very gentle, as excited as he is. He's not knocking her down.
Considerate.
Mm-hmm. He's a good boy. They tell him so all the time.
Yes, they do.
There's some dialogue, like Maggie asking, like, "Are you Harry Dresden? You're really big," because 10-year-olds aren't very good with dialogue.
Well, to be fair, I mean, she's got a woolly mammoth next to her. She should have some dimensional capacity.
Molly seems to be taking on some amount of a surrogate position with Maggie, teaching Maggie who Harry is, what he does a little bit, that Mouse was given to her because Harry loves her, what he looks like because of a picture, and giving her SplatterCon t-shirts.
And he fights monsters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she knows the whole shtick.
Like Draculas and stuff. But Harry's never around, and so she's worried that he's mad at her. Because
the dick.
Like, even for as hard as Charity says Michael works, he comes home every night, and Harry never does.
Because he's a dick.
He's kind of been sequestered on an island and dead before that, and didn't know about her before that. So he's kind of had a full plate.
He had time. He says we go through the whole thing in Cold Days that he had a minute. He could have gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did. He could have tried, at least.
Right, because that'll help your little girl. Hey, it's Ghost Me. Sorry, kid.
No. Cold Days.
Cold Days, yeah, when you went to pick up Mouse.
Oh, right. I got you. Yeah.
And he didn't even
that
leave
time
the car.
he was hiding, so.
Yeah.
Right. He was being a dick.
And
coward, I think, is a better
well, they're interchangeable at times.
He probably should have tried to leave the island before Skin Game to, go see people.
Well, his head would have exploded.
He couldn't. Yeah.
At least
he should have tried. I think.
Yes, he probably should have tried, but he would have gotten halfway there, and like his head would have exploded, and then he would have cried, and then he would turn around.
And then Bonnie would have eaten everybody, or at least that's what Mab tells him. So
if he had kept trying to leave the island and Mab wasn't ready for shit to go down, then maybe something might have had to happen to at least give him a little bit of time. And, he could have made the attempt to be a family person with all of his family in Chicago.
It didn't, and he doesn't, and he isn't. And now we've got to know if
is that the mentality we're taking now?
Well,
it didn't happen on the page, therefore.
We could speculate for the next 20 minutes, or we could get through another fucking chapter. I think is the line I'm drawing.
I think we can do more than one chapter, quite honestly.
I'm not at all confident. Have we made it out of a single chapter so far?
We've made it out of a single chapter. I do believe we're on chapter 2.
So we can just skip past the emotion.
No, we need to say the words. We need to say.
So go ahead, say them.
Want to be my daddy?
Say them.
It's gotta.
Yes, keep saying that to him, Justin.
Do you want to be my daddy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wait, can we not make such
this beautiful
emotional,
I think
beautiful scene into this perversity? Like,
no,
it can be two different things.
Because this is how Justin's going to get past this chapter, is if we turn it into something dirty.
I think it's important that not only, when you read them and hear Marsters say them, that impact is there, but the fact that like Marsters has gone on the record to say that it took him 2 hours to collect himself after recording the scene.
Well, it took him 2 hours to get through it, which is longer than it should be because he kept like trying not to cry.
Well, because it's like 3 words, so
So what you're saying is he would fit in very well on this podcast.
Yeah, he probably loves Butters, so he probably embodies Butters, as much as Dresden, as much as I seriously like. If we could get him a black wig, he could be Butters and Dresden. We'll get him stilts or something. And anyway,
you're stalling.
We've ruined it. So
good.
And Dresden gets choked up and says, "Yeah, kinda," and whatever. I don't remember. Do they make plans, or what's the tail end of it?
So
they read a book.
They read a book. He tucks her in.
Where the wild things are.
Right. And Harry does not do the voices right.
No, he doesn't. Right. He says they'll try harder next time, and she's very dubious about whether or not he's going to be able to pull that off.
There was a discussion. I have a monster under my bed, and it's Mouse. There was another one, but Mouse and I slayerized it. Which could be true. It could be pretend, and there's no way to tell.
Spoilers, it's true. So
I don't know. It could still be pretend.
I'm pretty sure it's
not
pretend
with the,
because...
Not with the Dresden.
Well, not with the stuff coming up, right? Like,
Well,
we know
No,
that
because
the young
where she
adult
lives,
thing
I don't think the angels have the same problem that adult humans do, where they forget creatures when they're like not
Right. Like, of all the places that are safe,
Okay.
it could actually be the Carpenter home.
it still could be different enough, though. Like, yeah, okay.
It could be something. It could also
Didn't
just
she
be a kid playing
inherit the
pretend.
Carpenter
Because-
Monster Bible or something?
What I'm anticipating,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's like you've got these two semi-overlapping universes, like you do anyway, right? The angels deal with like the big shit. Okay, the little monsters still get through, but it's not like she doesn't have her own guardians, such as mouse or teddy bears and whatever. Because day one, for instance, we know that there are other guardian spirits that do protect children. So it's possible that the angels are like, okay, well, since her mortal soul's not endangered, she might just get a little bit depressed and a little bit nommed on, then they don't deal with the little
They
shit.
are playing awfully fast and loose with the notion that they know her soul's not in danger. These are
Well,
the same
they would
stupid people
literally
that think
know
they're
it.
going to save Nicodemus, so they're very selectively idiotic then, is what you're telling me.
I'm telling you right now that there is no argument I'm going to make, because you're just going to twist it around and say whatever the fuck you
mean
want
with logic,
anyway.
with
so-
logic and facts?
No,
Facts and
come
logic?
on, dude.
No.
Anyway, I'm
Okay.
saying the facts and the logic are she probably did kill the monster, and Dresden in that moment is like doubt. So
Yeah. He doesn't know that kids have their own monstrous adventures. But at least she's safe and she's got Mouse.
Right.
And when she's asleep, he leaves and he can see that Charity and Michael are talking, and Charity looks very upset, as she would. And he eventually has to make plans in order to be a dad, because that's going to happen now after way too much time. Okay.
Yay. I'll
There's-
just take her to the zoo. She'll be fine.
Yeah. There's that conversation between Harry and Charity when Charity says, I was going to break your nose, or I was going to hit it twice, once to bleed and once to break it, for trying to kill yourself and then using Molly to do it.
okay,
And she emphasizes that kids need their fathers to come home safe. And he takes it as trying to bring Michael back safe, but she points out that Maggie has lost everyone she's ever loved, and she really needs Harry to come back. Also, please protect Michael. We have now gone through 2 chapters.
hooray!
Okay. So they leave the Carpenter house at 3:30 a.m. and they roll up to the evil lair in a soccer mom's minivan with "My kid is an honor student" at bumper sticker, which is pretty fitting for Harry's life. And Michael is refusing to wear a ski mask or even a black shirt because the
Full
white,
paladin.
yeah, it's the uniform is part of the job,
Right.
even though they're part of the bad guys on this one, sort of, maybe.
I mean, it's just the paladin-y thing to do. So
What happens next? Does he make a step at the henchman here? when they come back?
So a Knight of the Cross rolling into
Oh
Nicodemus.
yeah, they all go full panic. mode,
Yeah,
that's what-
everyone's like guns and panic, and Nicodemus did not tell them that he was showing up. It's like, no, stand down, it's fine. And they are reasonably freaked out. And Binder is freaked out. It's like, you're bringing a Knight of the Cross to do this because Nicodemus had a fight with your girlfriend. And Harry, for some reason, is going on like, she's not my girlfriend.
we all know how this is going to end, Dresden. You're not fooling anybody.
Right.
Like,
It seems so childish. It's like, why protest? Who cares if what they think is wrong? You're still going to protest.
right.
Harry and Michael do have a conversation about all the shit that the Squires go through, and the ways that they've been designed to be kept isolated and loyal to themselves and to Nicodemus.
Taking away the pleasures of companionship and food.
Mhm.
So
It's the last step of the indoctrination for a reason. Once it's done, they no longer have a voice of their own. Some men fall from grace and some are pushed.
Yeah, that's said more than once in this book, right?
Yeah, Uriel says it again later.
Yeah.
All right. There's a little bit of planning and like, okay, summon up 40 goons, put them in the trucks. Everyone has a pack, and away we go.
Yay!
And Dresden is about to be loud and obvious
Mm-hmm.
in a
Things he's
non-magic
really
way,
good
which
at.
was very good.
Gray does come in with the manacles, and they put both of them on the one hand on Harry because the other one is broken. And Michael gets to watch Harry just like seem normal and then be shrunken and in pain.
Right. Which, so again, these are steel, right? So they are suppressing the winter mantle, and yet he is very able-bodied here, just to make sure that we are drawing that perfectly for all you speculators out there. So
and it specifically mentioned that he's preparing mentally, putting up walls in his head.
He knows he's going to be in pain.
He uses all the stuff he learned from Lashiel, but he's not paralyzed.
Yeah, I know.
That's the important thing. He's not a wizard in the moment, and he is not the Winter Knight because his magical abilities are all suppressed, including the mantle, and he can still run around and do shit.
The iron removes the mantle, right? The powers of the mantle. He still has magic. He can still call up magic, but it will be stopped.
That's the point of the thorn
manacles. You can
manacles.
call up magic with the manacles on.
Nope.
They just bite in and stop you. Yes, he's done it before.
Dude, but you can't affect anything is the point.
No, but
it breaks your concentration. So yes, he can reach out for magic and then the manacles react and stab him.
Yeah, so he has magic.
Okay. I think we're splitting a very fine hair here.
I don't think you're talking about the same things at all.
In what he is and what he can do. The important thing is he's not using any magic and he doesn't have the mantle at all whatsoever.
And yet he can walk, he is conscious, and he is talking, think critically, and all sorts of shit.
So either he healed or the
mantle itself is not responsible for his healing.
Or at least his ability to walk. Yeah.
The bargain was, before I do this, you restore my body to health. Which he did. That doesn't mean it has to stay in health. If he breaks the bargain or goes back on his word with her, she can instant cripple him too.
So saying fuck winter law breaks the...
So taking away the mantle means that he should be able to walk unless she goes back on the bargain because he breaks her word, just like the winter law in Cold Days.
Right. It has nothing to do with iron. If he gets his normal shot with a nail gun, he can still walk. If he specifically goes back on the bargain, well, he's fucked. No more legs.
Well, and we've already seen from Small Favor that she has that kind of power over him anyway, right? They have the deal in place. Plus now he's the knight, so she's got him twice over. Right, because Leah healed his the cut on his head at one point, right? And so theoretically, she's got
that was in Grave Peril. That was before the bargain was sold to Mab.
Right. Well, I think there was something else where Mab did it too, where basically he's she has my number. Was that Grave Peril I'm thinking of then, or because he says those lines and
Mab? That's Leah with the healing. That's Leah telling him.
Where his ears start bleeding, but that probably would have happened to anyone.
Well, that's because how angry she was and her voice because of Maeve and whatnot. But
she took his memories. There's that.
That too. Yeah, but the point basically being is that she's got full control over him. So if he broke the mantle, whether it was part of the bargain or not, she could probably just paralyze him for being even and for having been the knight. Because
she can
the
render
queens
him
can attack the knights
back to the state that he was when they first struck it.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay. They arrive at the building that they are going to burgle.
Yes.
And
surprise.
Michael is going to break down the door, and he has to remind himself that it is part of a criminal overlord's evil empire, something or other. He's evil. I can do this because I'm a good guy.
It's fine.
And then they break into the Nakatomi Plaza. So, come on.
Doesn't look very wrong.
Right.
It's a building.
Oh, right.
Okay. Harry asks Gray a question of why take money for something like this? You can get it any way you want. And Gray says, no mystery, but I'm going to say something mysterious because everyone has to pay capital R rent.
Right. Everybody has to pay the rent. Yeah, which the second time through, I didn't realize he started talking about it so early, right?
Mm.
You know, like I had only remembered at the tail end when he asked him again. But in this case, he actually even says, like, it sounded like he had a capital R in there somewhere. Because
I thought he said it once before this too.
I don't think so.
Whatever it is.
I think this is the first time he brings up paying the rent.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Harry is the king of loud and obvious, sets off fireworks and bunch of like smoke and bright lights, and the sprinklers start going, which they didn't want, but he did.
Right. And doesn't the guard get the silent alarm off anyway? So
yeah.
And then everybody starts freaking out that, oh my God, the cops are coming. And it's like, you guys are all tards because this is Marcone's place. So he's probably got his own people coming.
Yeah.
You know, so, which is
Harry,
worse than the cops. So
Harry tells Gray.
I gotta say, I like Binder in the first book he was in. But like in this book, he just rose to like top 5 favorite character.
Right. Well, he's a weasel, right? But at the same time, like here, it gives him a chance to shine because he's a professional, but he's thinking about like where all the ways this is going to go. And, you know, his whole thing with like the bringing the night, like I was going to mention this earlier, but like the reason why he's pissed off that Michael's there and he sees right through it is because what's rule number 1? Keep it professional. Keep your personal shit out of it. And he knows goddamn well by having a Knight of the Cross here that we have crossed that personal barrier. So, you know, but then you see him be smart here too, right? Like he's a weasel, but you're seeing the cunning side of it, you know, where he's thinking about where this shit's going to go wrong and how best to counter it. So
earlier when Harry points out that the Marcone is savvy and is probably going to have a lot of fortifications meant for magic users, Binder points out, he probably has the circuits that are too fragile and this is going to happen and we need the thorn manacles, and he's very cleverly laying out all the reasons of what they should do. Right. And in here, he's like, if Marcone is as savvy as you say he is, they're going to start doing circle traps and I need to be careful. Like, he's very clever throughout everything. He's the criminal master person, so I better listen to what he says.
And it's also happened to him once before, right? So I'm not even sure. Did he realize the whole circle trap was a thing before Harry and Molly did it to him? You know, so, but it's also, it gave us somebody else who knows the magical shit that isn't just Harry explaining everything. Mm-hmm. And there are a couple of points where that happens in the book. Like I tried to be conscious of those tropes, right? Whereas like there are plenty of times where it's like Hannah is able to make the explanation, or even Anna Valmont can tell you a little bit that she knows, you know. From what she's been introduced to. And you don't just have Harry being like, okay, listen up, knuckleheads, I'm the wizard, so I've got to explain everything to you. You know, you have these other characters that are actually intelligent, plugged into the world, able to explain and think about these things. And Binder's made it as far as he is because he's a clever little worm. Mm-hmm. You know, he knows when to rabbit and he knows when to stand his ground. And at this point, he's got to be conscientious because his entire job is to keep the way open, basically, to make sure that they can get back out. And to be the distraction, you know, so.
Yeah. So Hannah Asher is not very happy about the idea of having a sprinklers going, because how is she going to keep the circle intact for her doing her fire spell without bringing the whole building down? And Deirdre does her little squeegee blade thing that like definitely freaked me out. That much metal danger right happening there. It's, whatever. But Hannah goes through the one door or wall, makes a door, and then goes on to do the other one. And there's a little bit of dialogue with Valmont. When they get through the second wall, Gray goes in front and he gets a whole bunch of bullets in him.
Right, because there's a couple of dudes inside, right, that are hunkered down. So
yeah, and Deirdre goes through the opening. And then I think kills one guy of Marcone's, which is why they give Weregild at the end.
Right.
All right. Gray whines a little bit of how much all the bullets hurt, but he's perfectly fine. And one of them hit his heart, but he'll be fine in a minute.
Right.
He's that impressive.
Yeah, that resilient. So
yeah. Resilient. That's a good word. Forgot that one. And Binder goes on like, Ash, don't forget to fill my pack. Yes, the red ones. My God, the red ones.
Right.
Okay.
And then they get to the vault in Valmont Freaks, or is there something intervening?
So they're going. Michael and Valmont and Nicodemus are going in towards the vault, and Harry's talking to Binder. Binder's like, "This stinks all to hell." Harry says, "Maybe it's just the fur ball," because he's creepy. And what does a Genoskva want with jewels anyway?
Right.
Asher and Binder talking like, should they leave? But what is Uncle Binder's rule number 2?
I don't remember.
Eyes on the money.
Right. There you go.
No entanglements, eyes on the money, and stay professional. Get paid and get gone.
I mean, we know Harry's right about, the Genoa salami later, but he got paid by a Bigfoot with a diamond. It's not like they have no concept of precious stones.
Well, I think the idea is that it doesn't mean anything to them, which is part of why they're okay using it as payment for other people, And
it is Binder who asked the question, not Harry. But Harry kind of leans on the suspicion of, yeah, you're right. That is weird.
Right.
I also find it odd that Binder didn't want emeralds, because emeralds are the most valuable of the 3.
But he likes the red ones.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He doesn't get them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I would think a professional would just want the biggest value, not the emotional attachment to the red ones.
Well, that's
Binder
Valmont goes after the diamonds for that reason.
He's very unprofessional. He's
still
a hypocrite.
human.
No,
my boy Binder's flawed. I'm sad about that.
Yeah, it is sad. Oh well.
All right. Harry's basically offering Binder, like, what if I could get you, on my side of this deal? It's like, okay, for cash? No. Well, then, no deal. He's going to stick with Nicodemus.
You really think he'd learn to negotiate better at some? Like, he has absolutely nothing to offer. A guy who only cares about material wealth.
Considering Molly's bank account is as large as it is, why can't Harry have a whole bunch of money from Mab?
Because that'd be too easy.
I was going to say, do you want the in-story reason, or do you want the real reason?
Exactly. Yeah. The real reason is, it's the same reason why Harry can't have a cell phone, because that would make it too
It's easy. The same reason he'll maybe get to use a couple of the diamonds to buy himself some new equipment, but the majority of that is going to get shunted off.
No, dude. It's word of Jim. He has $2 million, okay?
Yeah.
He's going to buy a castle in the sky.
He'll get maybe a little bit of upgraded equipment, but the majority of that is going to get lost or somehow is going to have to save him in an over-the-top way that it's like, I didn't need to give you all these, but here it would.
No, what's going to happen is Karen spent a couple of weeks or months in the hospital, and he covered her medical bills. So that's $1.8 million right there, because the American medical system. So that's where all the money went.
She's gonna have still her cop healthcare or whatever that she'll be fine.
Right. So
even though she's no longer a cop, she gets good.
I don't know how it works. I don't care.
Well, then you're failing me. What?
How is she able to do all the?
We'll
things
find out.
I just assume she has her cop.
I got it in every episode.
What?
Peace talks. Everything happens in peace talks.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that. If Murphy's in peace talks, I'm going to be upset. I don't care if it's only for one chapter.
Of course she's in peace talks.
She's
like, of course she is.
She's got to show up, and she's got to tell
Rick.
Crap. Not even just Rick. Tilly.
Tilly.
I almost said Denton. I'm like, nope, he didn't make it. So yeah.
I think this is
She's got to show up and tell the FBI how to do their job. Come on.
There's a reason Deadbeat is one of the greatest books. And it has because Murphy's not in it.
No, it's even better. Oh man.
Is this not the first book that Thomas is not in since he got introduced?
I guess.
Well, I mean, if you count, yes, he shows up at the very end of Ghost Story for
he showed up in Ghost Story.
He's even barely in, Turncoat, even though he's kind of important shit happens to him. Mm-hmm. It's all off screen, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the first book since he's, hey, I'm your brother, that he's not in. Yeah, because he's in Proven Guilty.
I think he's in every book since.
He's in White Knight, obviously. It's White Court shit. And he's saved the people. He's in.
Doesn't he show up to get him off the island? Or
when?
How does Harry get off the island? Was it just Mab's boat, or
Mab's Mab, and a bunch of Fae people trying to dress up as sailors and
because it's
outrageous costumes.
Yeah, it's Cold Days where he gets told to be someplace and then whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
This is the only book he's not in.
Right.
And which is why he's going to be such a central figure in the next one.
Okay, so are we?
So do you hate Thomas too, or what?
No, I like Thomas.
He hates everybody.
Who would hate Thomas?
Thomas is delightful.
Thomas is fabulous.
Loads of people hate Thomas.
Well, loads of people are sexist.
I mean, I was thinking the whole glittery vampire nonsense, but okay.
He's not glittery.
Might
he
as
just
well
has
be.
a very sparkling personality.
Yeah. So are we going to do the vault, or are we just going to end here? Or what are we?
Let's see. Well, we're right near a chapter ending, so I'll just call it there. Binder and Harry are talking about
Eek.
the silent alarm has gone off. It's been going off for about 8 minutes, but there are no cops. The silent alarm was not meant to go to the cops. It was meant to go to probably dead Vikings.
Because cops got better things to do than get killed.
Yeah. Asher and Harry have a little bit of a conversation. Asher had made a move on Binder, and Binder rejected her. And even though she's gorgeous, that must not feel good for her self-esteem.
Right.
So Harry kind of explains, well, you just have a high twitch factor. You're too attractive and too good, so you're going to eat me.
Also doesn't speak much for Lashiel either. She couldn't fucking seduce Binder.
Right.
Well, Binder's got a strong survival instinct. So
yeah, he must have had that.
We already covered the fact that he doesn't go after diamonds because he likes the red ones. It's probably the same thing with women. It's like you're too pretty, so there's something wrong here. He needs somebody a little bit more plain who's not going to one day wake up and just decide to stab him and steal all his red ones.
So his internal Jiminy Cricket's not like, do it.
Oh, it probably is, but he's a professional. So.
Yeah.
The only one of any of us is a professional. Right. Harry makes a comment. He
himself into a handkerchief because he's professional.
Harry makes a comment that he hasn't gotten with Murphy either, and Asher's like, "Wait, you're serious, aren't you?" It's like, but you're not that complicated. No, it's just we're a little complicated. She's had divorces. Her ex-boyfriend shot me, even though I asked him to, and he's just revealing all of his craziness. And Asher is thankful for the bullet dodged.
Right, really dodged a bullet on that one.
Yeah, but she says it is that simple. You had a chance for that, and you turned it down. You're an idiot. I'm not making the same mistake. And coins. Yeah. Michael shows up. Nicodemus is about to kill Anna Valmont. So Harry and Michael go off to do the vault stuff. And that brings us to the beginning of chapter 35.
Yay, we made it through 3 chapters. Woo!
Well, 4. We're okay.
Okay, all right.
All right.
What, there's like 18 left or something?
Something like.
So like 6 more episodes? Yeah, all right. This will take us most of the way to Peace Talks, so.
We're getting it done in 2 episodes or less, and I don't care what any of you say.
Unless you're going to do some kind of coup, like I don't see how that's going to happen.
I can do it.
I believe that you could do it, but could you do it with us?
Yeah. You have to drag us along.
Right.
There are ways.
All right. I'd like to see this deviousness.
I mean, we could just go long.
We could. I got nothing to do.
I got things to do today, at least.
Right.
No one cares.
I thought people care about Super Bowl. Wait, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Yeah, so we have to be done before then. No. I really can't go long today either, but
okay, but I don't know, maybe next time we can talk about that. But plug our shit.
This is the Dresden Files podcast, podcast about the Dresden Files, and we're part of the Broken Jars Network. And in the description, wherever you find our stuff, you should click on the link for DriveThruRPG because they'll give us stuff. And
you have to buy something. You click on the link and then you buy something, and we get like 3 cents.
Money can be exchanged for goods and services.
Send us some jars since we refuse to fix these.
Right? We don't want to be the Stack of Good Jars network. That would just be. It's not as.
As long as they don't have the word Mason on them.
No, we can get those little jars, and they'll just write like a plague on them, so it'll be like Mother Summer's shelf. They could sell those. Like, oh, I'm buying, smallpox in a jar.
Luckily, we're all immune to that, hopefully. So,
not
anyway.
That's a good idea.
Let's see.
We should put you in charge of our Patreon.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.